I've got to tell you, on the third Sarah book, and I've read them all within the last the last month. I was so happy to read those books. I thought they were sort of children's books, I think, originally, and so I never really went to them. But I got a Nook for Christmas, and I downloaded all the books that you guys had on Barnes & Noble, and they were there. And I read the first one, and I can't wait. Hopefully you guys are going to put out another one because...
It's in the works. It's in the vortex.
Terrific. What a great way to get the message across for everyday life. And so I highly encourage and endorse anybody, I think, that has an interest. I've got a little grandson. He's 18 months old. I can't wait for him to get older. I can read it to him. I think it'd be a great way to introduce him to the material.
Well, it's a nice thing. The reason that it resonates with you is because once you accept that you are a vibrational being, and once you acknowledge that there is an expanded version of you that is a powerful point of attraction, and that everything you feel is about whether you are allowing or not allowing yourself to go to that expanded version. Once you get that, then anything that vibrationally accurately depicts it feels good to you. One of the reasons that a conversation in a forum like this is beneficial, and one of the reasons that even though there are many people with their hands up, many people with questions, we can feel where the questions are. As we ramble longer, we bring more and more of you, or you allow yourself by participating in our conversation, into the vibrational frequency of who you are. And then in that vibrational frequency, you become a match to all that you've been asking for. So then when you read something that when we were talking about these money and manifestation cards, the words have been specifically chosen to be vibrationally accurate. In the Sarah book series, everything that is there, every story that is told is vibrationally accurate. There are so many things, movies that you watch or things that are on television that are not vibrationally accurate. They are taking bits and pieces to put together in plot lines in order to move audiences, but they are not vibrationally accurate. And so you can't gain any vibrational momentum unless something is vibrationally accurate. And that's what you're hearing about that. There's nothing in that book that doesn't precisely match the laws of the universe.
Right.
And when you sync up with the laws of the universe, when you take that power and line up with it, you have a leverage that is beyond description. So many people are sort of in the way we began this conversation, outside the vortex, trying to physically make choices about things, trying to make the right decision without getting inside where they're making a vibrational decision first, which then sets everything into its right order.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed. Second row.
Good morning. I have a really beautiful life, and I'm happy to be here. And I just got out of a long-term relationship, which feels really good. And I'm in a new relationship now with somebody who is really, really wonderful. But I find myself sometimes feeling unworthy or holding back in a way, like an intimacy, maybe feeling, like I'm too fat or I don't want her to see me, or, but then sometimes I feel really open, but I want to be able to fully be myself and receive and give with this new love.
Well, we talked just a little bit earlier about when you fire your employees because there's something unpleasant about them, that the next ones you bring usually have some of those same characteristics. And so when you leave a relationship, a long-term relationship, and you move into a new one, there are usually some vibrational carryovers that come along with you, because we've noticed that no matter where you move to or who you move with, that you take yourself with you. And so the most important thing to do is to try to get a handle on how you're feeling. Now, you're very open here. You're acknowledging that you have some insecurities about yourself and some feelings of not enoughness about yourself that you're verbalizing here. And it is troubling to you that they show up. And so naturally, anyone who is wanting to assist you would want to just say, well, just stop doing that. Stop feeling unworthy and stop feeling insecure. But of course you can't stop it all of a sudden, can you? And one of the things that often happens is that in a new relationship, there is often a sort of soothing of that for a while, because there are other things that are new about the relationships and then the getting to know one another that distract you from those old habits of thought about yourself. And so earlier we were talking about the benefit of getting to the basis of what it is. In other words, never mind what happened before in relationships, and never mind how you were feeling before, just how are you feeling now? And you got right to that. I'm feeling insecure and not enough. Well, anytime you know what you don't want, you always know more clearly what you do want. But we could spend the whole rest of the day just visiting with you. And while we could distract you, and we could do some of your homework live while we're right here all together, and there is a very great probability that your energy would shift about it in the process of doing that. What we want to remind you of is that it isn't important and it isn't necessary to make these vibrational shifts all at once. Not only isn't it necessary, it isn't possible. And it's nice that it isn't necessary because it isn't possible. It's really nice that we're not saying to you, you need to clean up your vibration and you need to do it all at once, because it isn't possible. So what we would do if we were standing in your physical shoes is that we would take this new relationship for what it is, an opportunity for it to show you in real life experiences where your sensitivities are, where your out of the vortex feelings are. And when one of them surfaces, rather than going right to work on it, sort of in the way that you want to do here, let's get right to the heart of it and let's ferret it out and get rid of it. Rather than trying to get to the heart of it and get rid of it, what we want you to do is to crowd it out with the other aspects of this wonderful relationship that are superseding it. In other words, we're not kidding you. When we talk about getting into the vortex and milking it, you will accomplish so much more by acknowledging when you feel strong than by trying to deal with the moments when you feel weak. In other words, you want to amplify what is working. So if you really knew what we know, and of course we're not criticizing you at all for where you began with us here, but you would sit in the chair and you would say, your words would have been, Abraham, I have a fantastic new relationship that has the potential of satisfying me in all of these ways. And these are my 10 favorite things about this new relationship. You see what we're getting at? So you activate within you activate by focusing upon what you appreciate. You align with who you really are. So now you're viewing this relationship through the eyes of Source, but more. You're not just viewing this relationship through the eyes of Source. You are living this relationship from the perspective of Source. In other words, you are that. You are that confident, clear-minded, joyous, appreciative being who is focused within this relationship. You see what we're getting at? So now our friend made a good point. He said, from childhood, I have told myself to be aware of what I'm choosing. So in that context, you could be aware of when you're choosing to worry about an issue, or when you're choosing to find your 10 favorite things about your new relationship or about you within it. But we want to go back to that basis and remind all of you, you're not choosing far at all from where you feel. So all this effort of choosing the right thing and saying the right words, are you getting that that's not what we're asking you to do? What we're asking you to do is get in the vortex and then think about your relationship, and get in the vortex and then think about your relationship, and get in the vortex and then think about your relationship, and get in the vortex and then think about your relationships. And when you are not feeling good about yourself, take a nap. When you're not feeling good about yourself, take a walk. In other words, don't try too hard to offer too much effort when you are not feeling aligned. And what you're going to discover, are we saying that you can't make headway by going through lists and making lists of positive aspects, or by looking for? No, of course not. It's always better to reach for the best feeling thought that you can find. But what we are saying is that it's not the fastest path to becoming whole to beat up on yourself about not being whole. And that's sort of where the conversation always goes. I have these issues, and we say, let's shine a spotlight on them and make them last longer. And very wise people say, no, let's not. Let's not. And so then wisdom said, then let's look over here into the vortex and talk about who you really are and what you really want. But you say, I can't do that. I can't do that right here and now, because vibrationally speaking, it's not possible, because I'm over here. And so then we say, say things to yourself like, later gator. Say things to yourself like, I don't have to figure this out now. Say things to yourself like, things are getting better with me all the time. Things like, this new relationship is a reflection of who I really am. This new relationship is much more about what I want than about what I don't want. I had to be in a very good place, or I could not have attracted this. Things are working out very well for me. I never get it done, and it will never be wrong, and it is never wrong. It's just me figuring it out. And I'm having way more fun than I've had in a long time. And I've made the right decision in order to come to this. And if it weren't right, it wouldn't feel this good. And there isn't anything for me to fix. And there are many things that I am looking forward to becoming, but I don't have to do any of them this red hot minute. And for now, I am well pleased with who I am and what I've come to. And this relationship is a reflection of all of that. I'm doing really well. I'm so happy with myself. When we come back from segment of refreshment, we're going to talk about how to incrementally move from one place to another. Very good. Good time for segment of refreshment.